probably the last few months.
And this one is for all the marbles for a spot in the final of the Iberia Cup 2022. I'm ready. I hope you're ready.
The final tournament, it must be, to be played in 2022. And it's with Fearless mode. We got to game 5. We get ourselves blind pick. And with all rules out the window, why don't we see a lane swap? I'm fancying Dreedy staying in this mid lane and dominating Aatrox. How about you guys?
Okay, I'd love to see that, actually. That would be interesting, because the Aatrox can actually just completely forego the Sand Soldiers, but 2 hours. Okay. Yeah, the Leona could have stopped him.
Yeah, but, well, here come the rest of Barca. Baiting out the engage from Heretics. Blue Resor's got a little bit too far forward, and Hades with the Sejuani passive at the level 1 is so incredibly powerful. We're getting madness right at the beginning, but it is a 5v4 in favor of Barca. Flash is being burned all over the place. First blood for the Yuumi. Jack Spectra with the kill back, but he is in enemy territory. Barca come out on top at 2 minutes.
Barca end up having the win because, well, they have more members present, but the Yuumi isn't really too much of a champion. She still did a lot of work, but Heretics, they fumble the response at the beginning because 2 hours should have never been allowed to walk up that fast, but then they chase him down to their own jungle. Of course, Barca are ready to fight back, and Jack Spectra luckily has that cleanse because of the exhaust, ends up dishing out a lot of damage, but that last flash was a bit too much. He doesn't have enough adoration stacks for it to make a difference at this point in the game, so I do think Barca are slightly better, especially because this Draven is a little bit late to the laning phase, despite having this extra longsword.
There's a lot of pressure on Ibo for how well he can command this top lane. Dreedy got 1 assist and had to burn TP to get back to the lane, while Ibo had complete control over the wave from level 1. He has experience lead, he has CS lead, and he's going to have to dominate this matchup.
And we talked about how rough it would be for Jack Spectra getting back into this bot lane late. Deadly still has both his summoner spells, so the aggressive potential that can come out from the Draven and Leona, stymied.
Yeah, it's a bit hard for them to actually try to all in. They still get to level 2, but it's a bit late. Deadly and Ephius are completely fine in this matchup. They don't really care about trying to fight the enemies. They are perfectly fine without sustaining whatever trade comes out. Ibo, on the other hand, he has a lot on his shoulders, and so far so good. He's doing a great job. He was 2 levels ahead of Dreedy, now only 1 before that wave actually ended up crashing, and if this Draven can play in tandem with Blue Resort throughout this early game, Barca might have a tough time executing towards their strong side, which is humbles, and now Heretics need a lot more to get through that bot side.
Ghost used by Ibo, ultimate used by Dreedy. That's a lot of damage on the Aatrox's head, forcing away the flash.
Ibo ends up getting the best out of that trade, and that is obviously normal. But, I mean, Dreedy can't escape that again. He will need to be very careful with how many auto attacks that Darius is actually able to get through. In any case, Heretics are more preoccupied with this bot side, and Hades at least gets that smite, it seems, and the Drake stays alive because Heretics, it can't get the mid prio, they can't get the bot prio, and Blue Resort is just not where he's supposed to be.
With this game stagnating through the early stages, 8 minutes in, we're dead even in gold. You have to give a certain amount of respect over to Barcelona, in particular this bot lane. How many times through summer did we see Sivir Zeri? How many times did we see 3 items get hit and a Sivir win a game? If Barca are allowed to play this game out like this, there's no stopping them.
Hades is here as well. White flashing forward, but the Sejuani in response misses the Glacial Prison. Still going to get the Gotland, still going to get the kill onto that Leona, and an early kill for a Sivir. Absolutely brilliant for Barca.
And Hades once more, I don't think he can get it, but yeah, that's even more resources onto the Sivir, and you were just talking about Rudu, the 3 items on the Sivir. Honestly, she's so scary at 2 items too. It's just so hard to deal with her if she gets ahead, if she is actually ahead of the curve, and that just seems to be the case in this game, and I don't see many ways of actually stopping her. This Azir needs to completely pop off or to completely take over the game if Zvairo actually wishes to have any chance of stopping the Sivir anytime soon.
It's one of my favorite states of League of Legends. It's top side versus bot side. Jack Spectra's out of this game for now. If he gets a cash in, he didn't die in that exchange, so still has a lot of adoration stacks.
Yes.
But top side for Heretics are so strong.
No flash for Dreedy. Into the world ender, but here comes Hades and a teleport to boot. Heretics weaker in the play. Ibo can't get the decimate, can't get the healing. It's another kill in favor of Barca.
And as we say, top side versus bot side, the area of the map the Heretics are supposed to be winning on, they fluff a play. It's a great collapse from Barca. They don't even need their support to roam over to it, but Elias is there regardless. It's the TP in from 2 hours which turns the tides of this fight. And Whiten cannot engage. He's level 4 as a Leona, doesn't feel confident to.
Okay, he actually misses both ults, I guess, there. Both the final chapter and the solar flare, but he's very dangerous now that he actually has agency to get out of the mid lane.
But look at this level difference between the two supports. Aphias was level 6 and Whiten was level 4 for a brief moment. And that's so important when you are playing around these massive engage ultimates like the final chapter and the solar flare.
No, it is, because the Leona doesn't really have reach or kill potential into anyone in the other side, and Barca just seem to be moving better. They seem to be acknowledging their conditions better, and as I said prior to the game with, not the draft, but the 2 team comps, we did see that Barca were intending to play towards top side even if they were against the Darius, and the moment they get the resources on that side, they basically take over the entire map, because 2 hours can actually move without being punished. Deadly, he's so far ahead that it doesn't matter, and Dreedy, he can start actually punishing this Darius every time he goes in for a trade. It seems like Heretics need a miracle to actually step back into this game, but they're not out yet.
Ertel going to go down to try and offset some very difficult situations that Heretics have found themselves in. That dragon speaks volumes about the state of this game. Barca with Hades here looking.
White in, locked down in the glacial prison. Enough to walk away, though, as, well, everyone from Barca converging towards the mid lane.
But if you told me that a Draven Azir versus a Silas Sivir don't get first dragon, I would not believe you. There would have to have been some astronomical circumstances to have found yourself in this spot. But again, that's where we are. Somehow, some way, Deadly feels confident enough having Prio versus Draven. Something that should just simply never happen. And they are able to take that first Drake. Getting more seems like a formality.
Yeah,
Dreedy fighting up with Ibo, the ultimate used by the Aatrox. Noxie and Guillotine again. Not enough, and now Jack Spectre 1v2 turns it around. Will fall down in the end, but he gets the cash in crucially. And now Whiten and Blue Resort playing onto Hades, dodges away right at the death.
That is completely crucial. Not only does he get the cash in, he gets the shutdown onto Deadly, and he just shouldn't die in that situation. Barca are the ones who're supposed to get onto Jack Spectra. They're the ones who are supposed to kill the Draven without suffering any casualties, and that simply did not happen.
And just like that, the entire lead that Deadly had mounted in the early stages is gone. Deadly has flashed this entire fight. At any moment, he can flash away and give it over to the Sedge.
Ibo! Dreedy with a solo kill in the top lane, keeps messing around. This game is making me nervous.
All of the areas of the map that are winning shouldn't be. Jack Spectre wins out on the bot side. He got 703 bonus gold for the cash-in off those adoration stacks. Dreedy had to teleport back to the lane at level 1. This is a Darius who demolished the Aatrox matchup and finds a solo kill.
Zvairo uses the Emperor's Divide, has the soldier available, dashes back, can still flash away. The Prowling Projectile follows. One more auto from Deadly gets a kill onto Heretics' mid laner.
And I completely agree with you, and it makes no sense that the game is going the way it is. And usually, we see in Game 5s of series, the teams playing a lot more conservatively. They don't want to risk it all. They're both basically in a lifeline. They should be eliminated if they make one small misstep. But this is the complete opposite. Both teams are playing like they have nothing to lose.
But everything is on the line in this game. And neither team wants to be the one to back away. 2 hours, incredibly low. The Ignite by down. Kingslayer not enough. White in with the kill.
You can see Whiting's there, like, guys, somebody kill him, please. I don't care if the Draven gets it, and then just turns around and just boops him on the noggin. It is so close to giving another cash in over to the Draven, but 2 hours falls. His mid lane tier 1 falls, and like we've mentioned, every single game this series, Heretics with a mid tier 1 down becomes such an infinitely more difficult team to kill.
And they get the bot turret too, Jack Spectra. It just doesn't matter what happened in the early game. He's already basically at 2 items, and we see here that Barca just move into their own jungle when they shouldn't. They know that the mid turret is so hard to get. They are already making a play in the top side. What's the point of trying to force this team fight? Heretics punish accordingly. No one dies for them in the top side either, and it's just like Barca are grasping at straws when they shouldn't be. They had the early game lead, and they're giving it all away.
Ibo. Looking at Dreedy with hungry eyes, White in here as well. The Aatrox can clear out the wave just in time.
No way you're getting that dive. This Aatrox is far too scary right now. 2-0-1. He's working towards an Eclipse. And this Darius now is in an absolute dire strait as well. Hasn't completed the Mythic Tier 2 boot rush. Has delayed that quite significantly. But mobility for Darius is pretty much #1 asset that he looks for. And without a Stride Breaker or without just the movement speed coming from an upgraded Hearthbound Axe, he is so difficult, or going to find it so difficult to play out these fights, to play out any sort of skirmish. He may be up 30 CS, but that is irrelevant.
No, I agree. It's just so hard for the Darius to play regardless. I mean, at least there's this melee topside that he can abuse, regardless of having the movement speed or not, because it is a Sejuani Silas that are fairly easy to hit if you're a Darius, and they can't kill you, but you're never gonna reach the Sivir, and if you do, it's probably because she made a mistake. So this Darius will either be relegated to the side lane and be forced to 1v1 for the rest of the game, or he'll have to be very lucky playing front line.
Oh, Blue Resort very lucky as the re-engage comes through from Heretics. They're diving on top of a Sejuani, and that is not a target that you can take down particularly quickly. Health bars low across the map, but Deadly gets the first kill of the fight, gets the second kill of the fight, and Barcelona absolutely crush Heretics in the river.
It's Sivir Gaming, baby! We're clumped up, we're taking these team fights. Sivir's gonna shine. Dreedy will take down Blue Resort off the back of this as well. And oh my, an ace for Barca.
That ends up being an ace where there shouldn't be one. We were talking about how the Draven was so accelerated relative to the Sivir. There's a Leandries on the Azir. He's dealing so much damage, but they just fumble the execution completely. They forget that Deadly is a deadly champion with the Sivir, and Barca just take over the game again when they shouldn't. It makes absolutely no sense, and the angle, it isn't great, but Whiten should have never been there. Jack Spectra gets the cleanse off the first route, but it doesn't matter. He's not dealing damage to anyone relevant. Darius, he's also completely irrelevant too. Zviru, he's forced to use his ultimate to disengage, and then he just has no soldiers to hit upon, and it just seems like everything was perfect except the execution. Even the place. How does this not work?
I am losing my goddamn mind. Heretics, they were building that lead in the early stage, but Barca, they fight back right when they should. And now this Sivir, 2 items, 6, 1, and 4 with a Yuumi on her back. This is so difficult for Heretics to stop.
2-item Draven just got out team fought by a 1-item Sivir. You have to bear with us through these technical difficulties, folks. This looks like it's not on the English coverage end, but we can take stock. We are more than happy to revel in
Slow
this
it down.
moment.
Slow it down.
Yeah.
Because we've been here before as well. Remember that in game 3, we had a pretty even gold game, but there was one metric that was very much askew. And it was those kills. It's the exact same situation again, where Heretics have played the map better, gotten more objectives in their back pocket, and have used that to neutralize the gold. But the kills were just a little too much. They were feeding too many kills over to their enemies. And obviously because of that, there was so much gold going in through the items, and that led to a loss. And in this same position, can Heretics turn the tides of this script? Can they turn it around and give themselves a win?
I don't know. I think Heretics are in a good position regardless, but they really need to keep a lot of things in mind, especially those resources on the Sivir. And again, I'm not sure if they can actually reach onto the Sivir. It's so hard to do that apart from Azir just completely making a hero play. So I'm not sure if that is actually going to come in as a factor later or not. I'm just sure that at least they have that option, and they at least have that saving grace, that hope to cling on as the game goes on.
It's a good time for a breather, isn't it?
Isn't it just the game 5 that you would have wished for?
I think so. I think this is like this looks like quintessential of either one of our two teams. Like I say, Heretics playing the map, playing this macro style, and just the complete opposite from Barca. Just scrap after scrap after scrap, and then Sivir Gaming.
Yeah, Sivir Gaming is just taking over the game, and honestly, I want to see if that ends up being enough. I know we've praised both AD carries extensively before and after these 4 games, but I think the most important thing to keep in mind is that Deadly has been playing completely out of his mind. Apart from that last game in the Aphelios where it was really hard for him to do anything, he's been popping off most games. He's been popping off through and through, and if he actually manages to 1v9 this game as the Sivir and actually take over and give Barca that LAN finals, it just goes to show how much resilience this player actually has, and he's just so good at what he does, regardless of who he's playing against. Jack Spectre has not been showing up, and he has been stepping up to the plate as the best ADC in the series.
And what a time to find that fight. It was right as Heretics were in the ascendancy, in that strong position where it looked like they could just go for it, but the engage onto the Sejuani, it's a little bit scuffed. They don't find the access, they don't find the damage or onto this backline, and you're in a position now in a game 5 that, honestly, coming into this series, you thought you wouldn't get to. You thought that you'd be able to crush Barca, that you'd be able to take down this team that you kind of styled on in the regular split, and coming in as not only the LVP champions, but the EU Masters champions, the best team in Europe outside of the LEC, being pushed this hard by a team that didn't have a great summer, that didn't have the successes that they had in spring. It's why we watch League.
And it's something that only LDLC were able to do, right? Push them to 5 games, and that's the best team in France versus the best team in Spain. Now we've got to see, just like you mentioned, Villacott, this absolute upstart from nowhere. There was nobody expecting this, to put it bluntly, to be so close. And it's not just the fact that we've gone to 5 games; it's the fact that of those games subsequently, it wasn't Barca just outright smashing every single game that they won. It was them working like dogs, just tirelessly, constantly looking for these picks, looking for any small advantage that they could eke out in order to get themselves the smallest bit that they could push further. And once they got that, they were just merciless, constantly looking, constantly finding those little windows that get them a game. And they've done that twice now. Yes, they've slipped up twice. And after game number 1, I think we'd written it off a little bit as well, but they bounced back. And in game number 4, it was, again, a much similar vein of, it was incredibly close. I think that this game number 5 is going to have to live up to that. And so far, we're right in it, and it is doing exactly that.
Oh, I agree completely. I think both teams are being limit tested time and time again. Both teams know that this game really, really matters, and they're playing exactly with the champions that they wanted to. There were no restrictions. All of them have been lifted. So the fact that they're actually pushing each other to the limit, even after you can't deny champions, even after both teams are supposedly playing the best they can with their best, in theory, champions, or at least with the best composition possible, it just goes to show that both of these teams are incredibly talented, and no matter who makes it through this game 5, I think we're going to have a banger finals.
It's going to be insane. I'm ready for it. Thank you so much for bearing with us with these technical difficulties. Of course, in Game 5, when everything is on the line, Technology starts to go a little bit haywire, but hopefully we'll be bringing you the stream very, very soon. I'm going to say it, guys. We are at such a critical juncture in this game and in this series. And both teams so even in terms of the gold, in terms of the objective amount of resources that they've each got. I'm going to put you on the spot. Rudu, because you put me on the spot earlier.
Respect.
Who do you reckon takes the series?
I'll go Heretics. I think that being an EU Masters champion holds a certain weight. And it holds a weight in a best of 5 where you've been challenged when you weren't expected to. It holds the weight where you have that veterancy in the specific situation that you may not have anticipated to find yourselves in. Wow. And by the looks of things, it looks like Heretics have done pretty well.
Jumping back into the game, a few things have happened, and it looks like they've all benefited our reigning EU Masters champions as oversteps there in the base, but with a Baron at their backs pushing forward.
Yeah, at least they have the Baron. A lot of things happened, and Barca was just... They had just managed to close the gap. It was completely even between these two teams, but apparently everything completely changed in a matter of moments, and now Heretics are the ones actually trying to spin this game in their favor. Honestly, Barca's base seems very, very damaged, so Heretics, they're probably just getting their ticket to finals at this point.
We've said that, and we've said that Heretics would come in 3-0 this. We've said that Barca wouldn't be able to hold a candle to them. They've surprised at every critical juncture. And there's also this again, a small bugbear of mine, that we have Sivir Yumi on the same team when we've gone past the early stages of this game. I cannot emphasize enough how powerful this duo may be, and how dead Ibo is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no hope right now for the Darius. He's a 1vx machine in the early game, but it is not the early game anymore. Okay, Deadly. That was close.
Crucial auto attacks, honestly, because if he doesn't get those, he actually dies to the bleed. So it's a very good thing that the team let those minions sort of stay alive a little bit longer. But it's, again, a little bit of a misstep by Heretics. Once again, it's what's cost them games 2 and 3. And in these clutch situations, it has proven to be Ibo just one wave too long, one step too far, that's costing Heretics their momentum in a game.
But again, it's so hard for Ibo to actually play the game at this point because in team fights, he can't actually reach the people he needs to reach. In the side lane, he is not the most effective champion at actually playing throughout that place in the map because he doesn't have the biggest mobility. He is a great duelist, yes, but it's so easy to collapse upon him. He's not the most durable champion either, and it just happens. It just so happens that Barca actually managed to capitalize on that, and now Heretics lose a big chunk of tempo. In either case, it seems like they are very confident towards this next dragon.
And I got to take a little glimpse at the items. Okay.
Oh, Whiten fluffs the engage and gets turned around onto by Barca. The Leona
He lives.
Walking out with slivers of HP. So many key ultimates burned.
Middlecourt, it's not a fluff. It's a great spell shield. Deadly. Spell shields the Zenith Blade, and then he's able to get out of the Solar Flare that's getting charged towards him. Deadly, again, in Game 5, stepping up. Every single game this series, Deadly has been the man to watch and has been the linchpin deciding the series. In Game number 5, he times his E perfectly and keeps his hopes and dreams alive.
Yeah, that is very, very important. They get the dragon, but look at Heretics. They don't care. They're just going straight for the Baron.
It's already chug solo. It's gone. It's removed. It's no longer there. Whiten fetching on the flank, looking for an engage as Hades is diving forward, but it has to dive straight back out. The Oda will die this time around. But look at the rest of the fight. It's all Heretics, baby. It's a reformation and an inquisition around the Baron. Ace as they push forward for the base.
The Norwegian marksman sends his remarks. Jack Spectra comes up huge. Heretics win game number 5. They are going to destroy the base of Barca and book their tickets in the grand finals.
And the respawns won't come through soon enough. It was good from Barca, but it was nowhere near enough. Heretics qualified for the final of the Iberian Cup.
And we were